you can know something's coming and still be surprised at when and how it happened. No, I'm not talking about your parents' divorce. I'm talking about the start of the Dalton Rushing era in Los Angeles. Let's get live on Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks to our everydayers for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. And thanks to those of you who are with us live here on Wednesday evening. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. So please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now. If this is your first time with us, I am Jeff Snyder. My normal co-host is Vince Samperio. Vince is wrapping up a vacation, and so instead, I have my abnormal co-host, Clint Pasillas, with me, and joining us shortly will be our even more abnormal friend and co-host, Doug McKain. The three of us will be here. All of us are lifelong Dodger fans. We've all spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room, so we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. We are going to be talking about the big news. Yes, the Dodgers won. We'll touch on that a little bit, but the big news was off the field. Dalton Rushing got called up because Austin Barnes got designated for assignment. We'll talk Rushing first segment. We'll talk Barnes second segment. And in the third segment, we will talk about whether or not people like Chris Taylor ought to be a little bit nervous now.
Yeah, it's nervous
Clint,
season. Yeah.
We mentioned Dodgers won this game. They won 9-3. It was closer than that for most of the game. They busted out for 5 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. In Shohei Ohtani's year and 2 months as a Dodger now, Dodgers hitters are 7 for 12 with 14 RBIs in the plate appearance following a Shohei Ohtani intentional walk. There was 2 more of those today, a 2-run double by Mookie Betts. I think it's still the right move probably, but that's why you have the MV3, right? That's why you have so many good hitters behind Ohtani, so that even when they make the right move to walk him, it's like, well, it's not like you're out of the woods, not like it's going to get easy now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pick your poison sort of situation for any of these other any of these opponents, and I would hate to have to be the guy to, one, be the manager to make that call, make that decision, and 2, have to be the dude throwing to one of those 3. You could even say 4 and 5 players when Teoscar's in that lineup. So Mookie really does get off on those situations, though. He was 0 for 4 leading up to that point, and then he said, a big FU to the A's with that 2-run double. That was a much-needed insurance hit at the moment.
Yeah, Mookie himself is now 3 for 4 with a walk, a single, a double, and a homer immediately following a Shohei intentional walk. So, I think that's all we're going to really talk about the actual game.
About the game. It's
what's
won the game.
Called. But the big news,
Barnesy Day, it's Dalton Day.
Yeah, we found out, the way this news always trickles out. First, we found out who's getting called up, and it's huge news. Dodgers call up the top prospect, Dalton Rushing. Absolutely huge news. But there's that little thing like, ooh, why though? And my first word was like, I hope Will Smith didn't sleep wrong and he's hurt or something,
Yeah.
But then you start thinking, okay, well, Rushing has played some outfield, maybe they're just sending Outman back down and they're going to DFA one of these guys in the minors and they're just calling up Rushing. But then when we got the word, probably half hour, 40 minutes after we found out the Rushing was coming up, it felt like 3 days. It's like, what's the corresponding move? That's how this baseball news trickling in feels. But when we got the news, Austin Barnes had been designated for assignment. Like I said, we're going to talk this second segment about Austin Barnes. But obviously they're inextricably connected, because the reason they called up Rushing right now is because the Barnes era was ending. They had decided that, and I wonder how much of that, Clint, do you think had to do with Barnes? How much of it do you think had to do with Rushing?
I think a lot of it had to do. I mean, it's such a loaded topic here, because Barnes has always had that, he's a good defender, so that's why you keep him on there. He's obviously a great clubhouse piece, but the defense eroded along with the bats continuing to not be there. So he almost became a completely non-playable character for the Dodgers. At the same time, Will Smith, we know, needs days off early in the season and through the regular season if he's going to survive and be a productive hitter in the second half of the season. So those are two factors. But also the big one for me is the Dodgers have told us for years now. Dave Roberts has told us for years it's a meritocracy. You can play your way, AAA players, minor leaguers can play their way into playing time. You can play your way up to the big leagues. Dalton Rushing had nothing else to prove at AAA. It was time. He is a bat. He is a budding defensive, catcher. He's still going to get his legs under him there. And what better spot to do it than at the big league level with the Dodgers? So you love that move. And I love seeing that guy there. That's my
wow. Look at
What's up,
these
Doug?
legends in the building. Wow.
Welcome, Doug. Right on time, just like we expected from you. Clint and I had a little wager. I now owe Clint $1 because he bet me that you wouldn't be on time. So here we are,
I'm like Teoscar Hernandez. I'm last off the bus, but I'll get you a double in the gap, a little RBI with runners in scoring position. I got you.
That's right. We are talking,
Appreciate
of
it,
course,
brother.
about the Dalton Rushing era starting in LA. And yeah, Clint, like you said, the Dodgers want to give Will Smith time off.
Yeah.
And I think it had gotten to the point where they need to. And it got to the point where they couldn't afford to because Austin Barnes, I told our insiders in our Discord the other day, I thought it's funny that after being a bad hitter for almost his entire career, it's going to be Austin Barnes' defense that eventually gets him cut from this team. And that's really what it was. Like, he's not bringing any value anymore. He can't throw anybody out. The framing is average. It's not elite anymore. And Dodgers pitchers throwing to Austin Barnes this year have a 5.16 ERA. And so it's like, and some of that is, yes, he has caught Roki more, and Roki has had his struggles, but if Austin Barnes doesn't do a magic behind the plate, he doesn't have a spot anymore, right, Doug?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what it comes down to. I mean, as you point out, it's like what he brought, the intangibles, the stuff that did show up on the back of the baseball card, the box score, once those have started to diminish, and then it's your best prospect. It happens to be a catcher that's hitting over 300, that's 45% above league average down in AAA. You have to start that. You have to start that process, especially if you think that they can help you into the postseason. They can preserve Will Smith. And we saw that last season. I mean, Will Smith made his second All-Star team up until the All-Star break. He was great. I mean, first 80 games of the season, 838 OPS, 30% above league average, 15 home runs. After the All-Star break, he was looking a little Austin Barnesy at the plate, right? 626 OPS and a 78 weighted runs created plus. So I think that's the number one thing that you look at, how he can immediately help this team. The truth of the matter is Austin Barnes one of the 13 best position players in this organization? No, but Dalton Rushing, I think you can make a strong case is.
Yeah,
and I'll add one thing too. D-Mac, with your rebuilt back, I'm pretty sure Barnesy still couldn't throw you out anymore. Trying to steal a bag at second base.
It'd be like, it would come down to like a really close review. Like, it'd be a tight review that it would depend on what they would call it. It might be too much to overturn it.
Angel Hernandez would call you safe. I got you there.
And don't worry, guys, we are going to say nice things about Austin Barnes in the second segment because Austin Barnes has been an important part of this team. But right now, like, Dalton Rushing actually gives the Dodgers the option of, if they want to give Will Smith 3 days off in a row sometime, like, hey, just relax for a few days, they can actually do that. And obviously they won't do that immediately, but as Rushing gets going, and I guess we just talk about this a little bit, that Dave Roberts said Dalton Rushing's role is backup catcher. He said he's not going to play outfield. He also said that can change. And my view on this is that's the right thing for Dave Roberts to say right now. Hey, no pressure, dude. You're just a backup catcher. Going to play a couple times a week. Just come up here, get your feet wet, get your bearings. But if Dalton Rushing hits, I think he's going to play his way into some more playing time, whether that is, also occasionally getting a start in left field. Occasionally, hey, Freddie, why don't you take a day off now that we have somebody other than Kike Hernandez to play first base? That I think there's definitely, if he hits, he's going to find plate appearances, right?
That's going to be the big thing for him. I think, Go ahead, D-Mac.
Now you go first.
I was going to say, that's going to be the big thing.
Let's
Dalton
go together.
Rushing
Let's
right
talk
now.
at the same time.
No, for Dalton right now, it is just roll out the red carpet, see what you can do, kid. If you can hit, which we know you can do at the AAA level, well, they're going to find a way to get that bat in the lineup some way, in some shape or form, or however you say that expression. Of course, there's
It's not like that, just so you know.
there's also the back pocket thing that people would really, really love to see is Will Smith getting some time at third base, which he's not. They signed him to a 10-year extension for a reason. He is their starting catcher moving forward, but he's also 30, and you do need to kind of figure out the future of the position, the future of third base, and all that kind of stuff. So you do have some options, but we're looking at right now. And Dalton, with that bat, you're going to get some opportunities, and the more you hit, the more they're going to find a way to get you in that lineup.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned Will Smith. I mean, first catcher to sign a 10-year deal. We know he wants to be a catcher. We know that that's his legacy. Has played some third base throughout his career in very, very small sample sizes, but that's not what he's here to do. I mean, when I interviewed Dalton Rushing during spring training, he told me that, hey, my job is to make Will's life easier and help him get to the Hall of Fame. So it almost feels like maybe there was like a conversation they had with him early on about a potential role, and he's kind of slipping that out just a little bit, because the truth is, I mean, look, we saw Gavin Lux a couple years ago. They weren't afraid to just throw him out there. It led to injuries and the poor wall there and the tape outline and all that stuff, but they're not afraid to try guys in the outfield. And yes, it's been limited, him in left field. There's no doubt about that. But you point out the number one thing. If he hits, he can stick. I mean, that's the number one thing. If there's any type of translation to his minor league numbers and he's anywhere well above average and he's that threat, then there's no doubt about they're going to find opportunities for him on the field. And if that's in the outfield, I mean, Conforto, I mean, he's got the reverse splits this year. You give him in the corner outfield spots. Give Teo a day off. My big thing, I mean, look, for Freddie Freeman to come out of a game, you pretty much have to go out there with security and have him removed from first base, put barbed wire around first base. But at some point, I mean, I was in the clubhouse yesterday. There was three people there. It was Landon Knack, it was Austin Barnes, and it was Freddie Freeman. And Freddie Freeman was full-blown, had two dudes working on his ankle, and it's an hour after the game. I mean, at some point, I think Freddie's going to accept the fact that, hey, I mean, I just have to take a little bit of a step back in the regular season to make sure that I'm at my best in the postseason. So I would love to see that as well. So I totally agree with you.
And the other thing is, even when Dalton Rushing's not starting, he's a weapon off the bench in a way that Austin Barnes wasn't. You know, now having another hitter on the bench right now, and you know, we're going to dig in the third segment about, you know, some other weak links on that bench. Seth in the chat makes a good point. It says we should have known there was some big news coming because Jeff, Clint, and Doug were all planning on being together tonight. We did plan this on Monday. We had no idea that we would have the biggest news of the year, I'd say, arguably, to talk about.
Yeah.
But Austin Barnes is the casualty in this. And as I said, Austin Barnes has had some big moments in Dodger Blue, was a very important part of this team. We are going to say some nice things about Austin Barnes and the end of the Austin Barnes era. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you will find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Hey, we are back. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Thanks for being an everydayer. If you're not an everydayer, it's easy to become one. Just watch or listen every weekday morning, and then you are an everydayer. You can also go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. And for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB, hosted by our friend Paul Francis Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. And while you're on YouTube checking things out, you might as well check out All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas and Dodger Territory with Clint Pasillas, and all the stuff that Doug does over at Dodgers Nation. I mean, Doug is
Don't
just
watch.
basically he's
Don't
live
watch.
streaming his entire life over there at Dodgers Nation.
Yeah, where's the vlog, bro? Make the vlog happen.
I know, right? I'm gonna
Hey.
vlog my appearance on Locked On Dodgers. Right, there's cameras all around.
But I just want to say, guys, I thank you guys for being here with me. Vince has been on vacation this past week, and the last 2 days I was talking to myself. We had fun here, but I'd rather talk to somebody else, and especially two guys who I really like, two of my best Dodger friends right here, Clint and Doug. So thank you guys. Doug, of course, is a part of the Locked On family as one of the hosts of Locked On Rams. So he knows how this is, and he knows that I have been talking too long without getting into the topic of our second segment, which is farewell Austin Barnes. Barnesy had one good season at the plate, 2017. It was a long time ago. It's kind of crazy that Austin Barnes and Yasmani Grandal in 2017 made up the best hitting catching tandem in baseball.
My God.
It's weird to think of either of them in that sense, but especially Austin Barnes as any part of a good hitting anything. And yet he had a great hitting season that year, his first kind of full-ish season with the Dodgers. And, obviously, especially now, Austin Barnes is the one memory we're allowed to still cherish from the last out of the 2020 World Series, because the other half of that out, it has some issues. So that was Austin Barnes' moment, right?
Did you guys see that, by the way? The way they edited that?
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. That was good by the Dodgers. Good on them.
Yeah. That World Series, I feel like that was Austin Barnes' greatest contribution. He played, he had a big home run. He had a squeeze bunt and a home run in the same game. He had obviously the hit that knocked Blake Snell out of Game 6. Austin Barnes' legacy with the Dodgers, I think, is the 2020 World Series.
Yeah, and for me, looking at what he did defensively, because Will Smith at that moment in time was not ready for prime time, and to get Barnesy stepping in, assuming the everyday catcher's role for the Dodgers. I mean, that's something Walker Buehler had mentioned. Navigating him through a bases loaded like nobody out jam against the Braves. There's a number of moments where Barnesy and his moxie and all the veteran presence he brings behind the plate, it really showed up and showed out for that team. And we've talked about it on Dodgers territory. Myself and Alana have Alana said, like, you don't win that World Series, and I agree, you don't make it to that World Series without Barnes behind the dish. So now, a long time ago, but we appreciate the hell out of him for doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing with Austin Barnes is, when you're a player that's not an all-star, you're not a Hall of Famer, you're probably not even the Hall of Very Good, for you to stick with one organization for 11 years, you had to do something at an above average level where you had to have incredible intangibles, in which we know he did have. I mean, we know that pitchers loved throwing the baseball to Austin Barnes. Of course, the pitch framing, getting the strikes out at the bottom of the zone. Yes, he was not a great hitter by any stretch. I think people have to remember that he played his role the way they asked him to for the majority of his career. And I think that, look, you add the fact, I mean, the dude's from Riverside. You know what I'm saying? Like, the dude from Riverside plays whole career with the Dodgers. Vin Scully calls your first hit. You win 2 World Series. Should have been 3. You pitch to some of the best pitchers in the history of the game. And life ain't so bad. Made over $17 million. I looked it up, $17.2 million in his career. And it's once a Dodger, always a Dodger, unless you're Manny Machado, Josh Reddick, or Alex Verdugo, right? But I think for him, he's got to feel good about his time here. He didn't like how it ended. For sure. I'm sure this was a massive blow. And as Dave said, it was a very, very tough conversation. But I think that he understands, because I think he knows what this organization is about.
You can also make a case that the Dodgers kept paying him probably 2 years after his play on the field warranted it.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, that is the loyalty. Yes, it's going to have to end at some point, and it's going to be hard whenever it ends. But, the Dodgers knew Dalton Rushing would be getting called up this year. I think it made sense to start Dalton Rushing in AAA this year. He'd only played 37 games at AAA coming into this year. So, start him there, make sure that he's ready to go. But they absolutely could have cut Barnes loose and went with Hunter Fiducia as their backup, save some money. And they didn't. They gave Austin Barnes $3.5 million this year. That sort of loyalty. And Barnesy, everybody loves him. Like all the players, he was the captain. I'm not worried about his absence. I think the Dodgers have plenty of veteran leadership. And so I don't think Barnes is an irreplaceable captain or whatever you want to call him. Maybe that says more about the role of a team captain than anything else. But he was absolutely a guy who people respected, and because the reason they respected him was because he was dedicated to being the best he could be. The problem was at this point in his life, the best he could be isn't very good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the case. I mean, when they traded AJ Ellis, he was hitting 194. And who was the guy who did that? It was Andrew Friedman. And Andrew Friedman was making the case that Ruiz was going to help this team more. They wanted to see Grandal's power. So, I mean, it's not like this is the first time this group of decision makers has done something kind of shrewd like this. I think that the interesting that makes this that much more intriguing is that you do this the week that Clayton Kershaw is coming back. And a lot of people out there just assumed that he was going to be on the Dodgers until Clayton Kershaw was going to hang them up. This is not the case in this situation. So I think it's like, okay, maybe let him go, throw to him one more time. But I think the more I think about it, it kind of made more sense to just do this before Kershaw comes back, so you don't kind of have to deal with that situation. I mean, this could be overblown. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure is going to ask Kershaw about it. We'll hear what he has to say. But I think that's just an extra little layer and subplot to all this.
Yeah, he's not going to be crying like he was for AJ Ellis, that's for sure. But what I do appreciate about the timing of it, as Dave said today in his pregame presser, it gives Austin the opportunity to go out and find himself another job somewhere, hopefully on a team that is willing to take him in and not just DFA him also like a week later after he catches a couple of games or whatever. Hopefully a team that is like one leader away from a postseason berth or something like that. He will land on his feet, and eventually he's going to be doing something for the Dodgers in the front office, that's for sure, alongside our boy Justin Turner and all of that. But listen, what I love the most about this, the same with that Chucho Ruiz thing, is the Dodgers, the front office is telling us right now they are putting a mark on that clubhouse. Nobody is safe. We are here to win. We are here to try to become the first team to go back-to-back in World Series wins since the 99-2000 Yankees. And you got to, put up or shut up. You got to do something at the plate or something, net positive, not just be vibes anymore.
Yeah, and I've said this many times here. I always thought the Kershaw angle was overblown because of the AJ Ellis trade. Like, AJ Ellis was not only Kershaw's personal catcher, he was also his literal best friend, and Kershaw was the ace of the staff back then. Like, there was no way they were going to keep Barnes just for Kershaw. I still didn't expect it to happen like this necessarily. But yeah, I mean, the Marlins would make sense. Maybe they've got a young catcher who is a big part of their future. Obviously, Barnes is familiar with the Marlins manager. Bring in Barnes as the backup to Ramirez and as kind of a mentor to him, could be a fit for him. We'll see what happens. But like Clint just said, this could be. There could be some members of the Dodgers who are feeling a little bit uneasy right now, saying, ooh, if they're willing to DFA Austin Barnes, I know they don't like me as much as they like Austin Barnes, and I'm not playing much better than Austin Barnes was. We're going to talk about at least one of those guys. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen, and please keep it Locked On Dodgers. We are back. It's almost like we didn't go anywhere at all. But thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. Thanks for being live with us. We expected a big group tonight, and you did not disappoint. The chat is hopping, popping, all those other oppin' words. We appreciate that. Absolutely. You talking about the movie or the old 97 song? So,
yes.
Man, now I just want to listen to old 97s. Can we just cancel this show and I'm just going to pop on some old 97s? Anyway, thanks to Clint Pasillas and Doug McKain for being here with me. I love you guys. I appreciate you talking Dodgers with me. Be sure to check out their stuff everywhere. Their Twitter handles are on the screen. I guess I'll say them in case you're listening on the podcast. Clint is at RealFRG. Doug is at DMac_LA. And obviously check out their various shows. Austin Barnes.
Doug, we work too hard, man.
I know. Now we're adding a third show, man. We'll
talk after.
The MV3. We got a new podcast, the MV3. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Can I be Shohei?
You just got to walk up there and hit and then sit on the bench. It's a good gig.
I like, that's kind of my jam.
I will say I've seen Doug at Dodger Stadium at shortstop. We should probably put him at second base.
Okay. About to say, or yeah, I'll be the back.
People are already clamoring for a position change for Doug, huh? All right, So let's talk about Chris Taylor. What does Chris Taylor have to do with Austin Barnes and Dalton Rushing? Well, Chris Taylor is a longtime Dodger, a veteran, a fan favorite, a player favorite who isn't very good at baseball anymore. And I could have just been describing Austin Barnes. The fact that the Dodgers were willing to cut Austin Barnes at this point, especially now that you have Ha-Seong Kim, who fills a lot of the roles that Taylor did, just better. He can pinch run for you in games he doesn't start. He's got some positional flexibility. He can play infield or outfield. Those things. He's basically Chris Taylor, but better. And do you need good Chris Taylor and bad Chris Taylor on the same team? And when we've got, Teoscar Hernandez and Tommy Edman both took live ABs against Sheehan today. They're both expected to be back next week. Obviously, James Outman getting sent back to the minors is the obvious move when those guys come back. But then do you really send Kim back down? Or do you say the time has come, Chris? Thanks for the memories. Go away.
D-Mac, you take it.
I think, look, for Chris Taylor, there's really no metric. There's nothing you can look at that would say, this guy is going to look like the guy that we said Chris Taylor never did anything wrong in his entire life. The Ock Taylor, the guy that hit the wild card walk-off home run. That guy, there's nothing in there in his numbers that suggests that guy is going to turn his seasons around. And I think that you look at just the other available options, they're better than Chris Taylor. And I think that Ha-Seong Kim is extremely intriguing because, you saw him tonight, legged out a single. He got a home run. He just kind of has that juice, right? He just kind of has that juice, that excitement that he brings. And I think that if you're going to kind of move his development down the road, that could make him less of a viable option in the postseason, right? I think that you need to start the process of him going through the high highs and the low lows and the slumps and everything that goes with that. And with Chris Taylor, you just don't benefit from that, right? Yes, there's something to be said about having someone on the roster that you don't need to give everyday playing time to. That you can say, okay, play once or twice a week. That's it. And it's not going to hurt us from a developmental standpoint. But I also think, too, that Kim hasn't gotten playing time every single moment of every single game, and he still kind of made the most out of it. And if he continues to show that, and the fact that you sign him, you're committed to 3 years, $12.5 million, the 2 years of club options, why not just start that process? And look, everyone said this whole season, it's about getting CT through the 10 years of service time and everything that goes along with that. I don't buy that. I really don't. You know what I mean? I just don't think that Friedman is sitting there saying, we got to get CT through his 10 years. I don't think that's the case.
I don't think it's even a factor at all.
Yeah.
No. Because what? The 10 years gives you health insurance? Even after tax, Taylor's got what, $10 million in the bank right now? He can pay to go to the doctor.
He'll be in a good spot if he were to lose his job tomorrow. He would also probably pick up another gig and find a way over the next couple of years to piece together enough time to get to that 10 years of service time. But I like what Doug was saying there. We're starting to see already, Dave, be a little bit more open to moving some guys around, pulling some dudes. We saw Kim today had 2 hits, a ride the pine, and then it worked out with Miggy Rowe getting in the game there and getting a pinch hit later on with the double. Having dudes that can hit and field and run, as opposed to people that show up to work on time and are friendly and that you like them, but don't necessarily hit and do all the things you need to do as a baseball player. The more better options you have, the easier it is going to be for Dave in this front office to pull the right strings, look smart, win ball games, and ultimately go out there and win that piece of metal at the end of the year. And Kim is showing a lot, and CT3 is showing that it might be time to move on, and we can give him a sayonara love fest in a couple of weeks, a couple of days, whatever it may be. But the clock is absolutely ticking, as it should be, on Chris Taylor, and it's not ticking down to that 10 years of service time.
And you look at what the Dodgers bench was yesterday. It was Austin Barnes, Chris Taylor, Miguel Rojas, and Kike Hernandez. And now picture that. Instead of bench of Dalton Rushing, Ha-Seong Kim, Kike Hernandez, and Miguel Rojas. Suddenly you have 4 guys who all have a role, who all have potential to come up and get a hit for you, who can all, play a couple positions on defense. They can fill in at different places. and kind of they run the bases. You can, you got Kim to run the bases. Like, that's actually a solid bench. All of them are guys who you don't mind giving a start to once in a while too.
Yeah.
Like, and then every once in a while, Rushing's playing, so Will Smith is on the bench instead. Like that is just a totally different look that it could be when Edman and Teo come back.
Suddenly the talent matches the payroll when you have these dudes and not Chris Taylor and not Austin Barnes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with Chris Taylor too, it's a thing where I'm not even sure the last guy on the bench is even on the roster right now. I mean, you got some hopefully right-handed pop off the bench and Teoscar Hernandez when that comes around. If everyone's healthy, there's some redundancy there with Chris Taylor. I think that you get a more bat to ball type of hitter. And look, are the Dodgers going to win or lose the World Series based on what either Chris Taylor or Ha-Seong Kim do for this team? Probably not, right? This team's success is largely going to be dependent on the health of the starting rotation, how the bullpen performs, and how your three best players perform, along with Teo and some of those other parts. But still, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like this organization is showing us now. I mean, forget what they say. I always say, forget what they say, watch what they do. And you see the limited playing time for Chris Taylor, the limited at-bats. They're showing us that they're easing off that role to plug in someone else potentially, and I think it'll be kind of an easier way to get out of it.
Yeah, and I said, early in the season, I think Chris Taylor made sense to be on the opening day roster because, like you were saying, Doug, they needed somebody who it wasn't going to hurt anything if he only got 2 at-bats a week, and he was just coming in for defense late in a game or to pinch run for Conforto and then take over left field. Great. That's your role, Chris Taylor. But that's because Kim needed that time in the minor leagues to develop. Now that Kim's development, obviously he's still developing, but his main development stage seems to be done. He is now a major leaguer. And like you said, Doug, doesn't need to play every day. So he can be that bench guy who gets, a handful of starts. The Dodgers are in position to give themselves that really good problem of we have too many good players for spots available. And then they can start thinking, okay, well, maybe we do give Max Muncy more days off, whoever it is, they can start actually giving everybody days off, getting a lot of stuff going because they have a full roster of 13 good players, or at least, 13 guys with the potential to be good.
Yeah, could not agree more. And I think if you are this Dodgers team right now and you're kind of looking at the end of your bench and the roles for some of these guys, I mean, if for some reason I just kind of almost feel like a disconnect between Chris Taylor and the team, almost like he almost is anticipating he's not going to finish the year just from just the overall kind of just vibes that I just kind of get from him. I don't know if I'm just like reading too much into that, but seeing this now and seeing what this could be, it does feel like, hey, we have entered the Shohei Ohtani era of Dodger baseball. And look, I mean, even a couple, look, they non-tendered Cody Bellinger. They didn't bring back Justin Turner. This whole idea that the Dodgers always bring back the Dodger guys is not true. They brought back Teoscar Hernandez for a reason, and that's because he's great in the postseason, helped them win in October. If they think that you can help them win, you will stay on this team. I will say, like, there's a part of me that's like, damn, he was 8 for his last 72 before he hit that walk-off home run off of Reyes. Like, there's a part of me that, like, Chris Taylor looks like he's a double-A player for 2 months, and then for 3 weeks he looks like a Hall of Famer. And that always kind of scares me, but it does feel like those kind of runs are few and far between at this point.
Yeah, we haven't seen a heater. We haven't really seen a heater from CT in quite some time. Hey, he was solid last year. The final 2-3 months of the season hit a little over 300. But
that was very selective. Who are you facing?
Pick and choose your spots. That doesn't work anymore for this team. Even with 13 position players now, it does not work.
They don't need that anymore. Unfortunately, we're out of time, guys. I could talk Dodgers with you guys all day long. We'll have to do it again sometime for sure. Thank you, guys. Last little bits of news. Blake Snell did start throwing. His appointment with Dr. Neil Elatrosh went well. He got clearance to start throwing, so that's good. I mentioned Emmett Sheehan through live BP to Edman and Teo. Sheehan was in the mid to high 90s, which is awesome for where he's at in his rehab. Teo ran and looked good. I saw video of it. He looked to be running full speed. So everything is on track for Teo and Edman, hopefully to be back next week, and Sheehan to come back in the next couple months. And just let's become that monster that everybody complained that the Dodgers were all off season.
Don't let this team get healthy. Watch out, MLB. Do not let this team get healthy.
That'll do it for us. Thank you all for being here with us live. If you were, thanks for listening later or watching later. Thanks to Clint and Doug for being here with me.
SDZ, let's go.
Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now so you could be an everydayer. You can also check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at VinceSince91. Doug is on Twitter at DMac_LA. Clint is on Twitter at RealFRG. I am on Twitter at Snydog. All of our DMs are open. You can also email us, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or send us a voicemail or a text message to 323-863-LOCK, 5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us when you get in your car or sit on your couch. Tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.